Hey, Damon Tay here, and today we're talking about speed and what that means for your business. There's different speeds in which we can attempt to try to accomplish the business goals that we have. And there's kind of two areas where we see people mess up with this. One, they try to go too fast. But the second one is actually the more common problem that we tend to see, and that's when people try to go too slow. So I'll talk about both these for a second, and let me relate this to something that many of us have probably done, and that's ride a bike or maybe ride a snowboard, riding something that requires you to have some speed to get momentum and go. So let's imagine you're riding a bike for a second. So when you ride a bike, there's a speed at which it's very slow, and it feels like you don't have as good of control. You fall easier. You see this with kids when you teach them how to ride a bike. They want to go really slow and they keep falling over. And it's because they don't feel comfortable with the speed at which they have to go to actually ride a bike like, an adult would do. And as soon as they realize that, all of a sudden, they don't fall anymore, right? But they have to get comfortable with that. Now, on the flip side of that, there's a speed that you can go on a bike or a snowboard or whatever, and all of a sudden you feel like you are outside of your comfort zone. You're going so fast. Maybe the bars start to move really fast. The snowboard starts to like rattle, and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, I don't know, maybe I'm going too fast, and you're worried that you're going to crash because you don't know how to control it at speeds that are that fast. Well, in business, we'll see people swing wildly either direction. I've seen people that start clinics that take out $500,000 in loans to buy all kinds of equipment that they don't know if anybody actually wants to use, recovery centers and equipment that they'll use for manual treatment and things that are like super high-end lasers and stuff like that. And they don't even have a single patient to begin with, right? Like they don't even have any idea how to run that business model, let alone get people in the door. And they take this huge swing, and that's like getting on a bike, not knowing how to ride it, and just going as fast as you can downhill. That's too fast for most people. On the flip side of that, what I see more than anything, especially in the clinical space, because most clinicians are typically more risk averse, they're higher education, they know what the downside risks could potentially be. So they tend to be much more methodical about things, very measured, and oftentimes very, very slow. Now, here's the challenge with that. Just like riding a bike or riding a snowboard, like every time that I have to snowboard really slow, I fall. It sucks and it hurts versus like if I'm going faster, I have way more control. So when you go really slow because you're worried about falling, you're worried about your business not doing what you want it to do, you actually create a lot more pain for yourself in a lot of ways. And here's why. You delay the natural progression of your business. You slow yourself down, which allows the opportunity for people that are competitors of yours to gain market share, right? You slow down the momentum of your business that your actual clients see as well. And that's not necessarily something that a lot of people want to refer people to, right? For instance, maybe they think that you want to stay small. They don't think that you're trying to get more and more new clients. So when we have this natural momentum that we have to kind of understand our comfort level with and what speed we want to try to attain. Really, that is very independent based off of your personal, situation financially, your family situation, your own risk tolerance, and your goals of what you have. But more often than not, I very rarely see clinicians going too fast, too early. What I see is people delaying and slowing down their business, painfully slow in some cases. I've worked with people that have taken 2.5 years to go from like they have a side hustle, they're working full time, and they just don't feel comfortable enough to go all into their business even after 2 years and saving a bunch of money, and they're working their ass off, working a full-time job, and on the side, they're starting their clinic. They've got this side hustle, it's their clinic, but they don't feel comfortable to go into their own business. Or people that are starting their clinic and they've gotten to a point where their schedule is busy enough and they don't want to hire. They're slowing themselves down. They're delaying the inevitable, which is the next step that they need to take. And it's painful sometimes to watch. Or even more so, when somebody brings one person on, they stay there with one other provider for an extended period of time, and they're not pushing to grow past them. They're not leaning into the momentum and getting that speed where they actually feel stable, and they slow themselves down. And it's just like riding a board or riding a bike, and it's treacherous. You'll fall over, right? You're making yourself unstable on purpose, unintentionally in many cases. And what you have to realize is that you have to push your business forward, and you have to get comfortable with some of the speed in which you have to change, adapt, learn, hire, fire, take risk as far as being able to grow into new spaces and investing in yourself. These are all things that require speed. And if you don't do it, if you slow yourself down, the biggest potential outcome that's going to come from that is you just put yourself in a painful state for longer than you should be in these very challenging business situations. And the worst part of it is you could have been in a place where your business was far more advanced, far more robust, far more insulated from risk, actually, if you would just continue to go at the speed that you were going at, but you slow yourself down and now you allow other people in your area to take market share when you could have really insulated your business from competitors in a much more significant way. And that's what sucks. So ask yourself this: if you feel like you are slowly chipping away and making slight progress here and there, what are you missing? What are you individually missing? Are you putting your own handbrake on purpose? Are you doing things to sabotage your own momentum, your own speed, so that you can slow yourself down because you feel uncomfortable with what the next steps are? Maybe you don't feel comfortable with who you are just yet as far as the person who can actually run a company like that. And we self-sabotage sometimes when it comes to this. We delay, we slow things down, we say no to opportunities because we're not sure that we can tolerate that speed. We're not sure that we can hold that momentum. We're not sure that we're worthy of whatever that next business evolution looks like. And that is something that you're the only person that can work on that, right? You have to work on these things that are going to be your own self-limiters. And that's usually where it comes from. Sometimes it's market dynamics. It's that you just need, more volume, you need a better sales process. You need, these are all things that they're the hard skills in the business. These are the things that, we look at that we need to apply as far as running the right business models. But more often than not, these are teachable, very teachable skills. Implementing those and being the person that's going to actually get on that board and go at a certain speed, or get on that bike and go a speed that maybe is faster than where you feel comfortable, that is a mindset issue. And that's something that you got to work on. So don't forget, going too fast is a problem, but going too slow is just as bad. And if you're feeling uneasy because you're gaining momentum in your business, it's very normal and human nature in many cases, if you're risk averse, to dial it back a little bit, pump the brakes. Okay, I'm gonna pump the brakes. This is getting a little out of hand. When in actuality, you're just not comfortable with that speed yet, and you gotta lean in.